a beautiful day, and look at all the flowers just exploding with color. Hi, it is Robbie from Southern California, and I have gotten dozens of requests and questions on brassicas. And so many of you are telling me your kale, your collar, your tree collards, they're all bursting in the seeds. What do I do?
Well, that could be an excellent question. What do you do if you start to see your beautiful collards and your gorgeous kale, your beautiful brassicas with beautiful green leaves start producing seeds? I mean, after all, what we want is to collect food in our garden that is for us to eat. I mean, that's what most of us are growing these plants for. So when we do see the seeds, well, what should we do? Technically, I guess, for most people, you want to pull them out. You want to clip them down, and I'll show you in a minute how to do it. You can catch them when they're quite small. They will continue to try to produce because at certain times of the year, well, that's what they're here to do, produce seeds. But can we stop them? And what happens if we don't stop them? Generally, a certain time of the year, and sometimes it's every other year, brassicas will start to produce seeds. You'll see the spike start coming up, and what you'll notice is the leaves that they normally grew that were big and beautiful to pick and eat start to get smaller and smaller. That's because the internal plant is now producing seed heads. Now, I leave mine on here for the birds because the birds come in and eat the seeds. Before that, we get the bees that are all over the flowers, including hummingbirds, which are actually pollinating the plant to produce seeds. So it's a cycle of life for the animals around here. But if I was feeding my family with all of these plants, you wouldn't want to do that because you're not going to have the food that you normally would have because the leaves get very small. The plant just starts to throw these seed heads that really there's not much there to eat unless you're going to juice it. So here's what I'm going to tell you on that. It will depend on what you want to do. Can you collect the seeds? Yes, you can on a lot of these. If you're growing tree colored, well, no, they may not grow the same because they'll cross-pollinate. But a lot of brassicas that come up are beautiful plants, even if they've been hybridized 2, 3, and 4 times. You'll end up with these gorgeous plants, perfect to eat, that look like nothing you can find in a catalog. So let me go into what we're going to do. As I want you to see here, this was a beautiful purple tree collard. It bursted in the seeds, and when it was done flowering and producing seeds, it died back. Here is a lot of other brassicas here. There's some dinosaur kale, all of it finished. Different collards. When they were done producing seeds, a few of them died back and the rest of them came back. So you have to decide again what you want. And I'll show you how to trim them down because there's different plants and different brassicas form different seed heads. A cabbage, we all know, form the head. So we won't see the flowers unless we let that head open up and burst in the flowers. But if we do that, we won't be able to make sauerkraut or coleslaw if that's what you're wanting to do, because it simply won't happen. The head will be gone and we'll have flowers when we actually want the food itself, right? So let's get into a few interesting things. Now see this seed stalk? Notice how skinny the leaves are on the top. They're just not going to get big. What you want to do is go down the stalk and find some leaves that look fairly normal. They may not be that big, but they won't be that skinny one. Clip it off there. Now you can go a little bit lower if you want. It's not going to hurt the plant. But see how the leaves on the bottom are nice and big where the top ones are like nothing? Go down, clip it down, and those, eat those. There's nothing wrong with the entire thing to eat, but what we're going to try to do is slow the plant down from producing seeds if we're wanting to have food, and this way eventually the plant will give up. We don't want it to be totally successful, or we could possibly end up losing the plant. Look at all this. Isn't it beautiful? But by removing a lot of your seed heads, eventually your plant will start producing large leaves again because all the energy is going into now producing seeds. See how tiny the leaves are? There's nothing to harvest anymore. Now, we may have to do this for quite a while because during this time of the year, the plant really wants to make seeds. So you're going to continue doing this clipping until eventually you'll see that it will be done and the leaves will come back. See how these to the left, all these brassicas are just so skinny and tiny, the leaves? Look at that. I could take this one all the way down to about here so it will start to produce leaves. Now I'm leaving most of mine because I grow so much that we have plenty for us, and I am trying to leave a lot for the wildlife. And eventually I may have to replace some of them by cuttings, or some new seeds will come up from the ground and I'll let them grow. Notice the plant to the right is so big. Look at that. If you can keep at it, your leaves will continue to get big. And all this, well, I'll compost it, but look at the leaves on that. So I've got to keep after it and keep the seed heads down. So maybe a few will be there, but not as many as some of these. They went totally wild on me, but that's okay. This is my bird garden, and the food that we're producing there is mainly for the birds. So I am fine with that. When I say birds, it's pollinators as well. But these, I want this for me. I'm going to use it for stir fry and making rice. I add some of them to my salads, the tender new leaves, and green drinks and everything. So I've got to have some for me and some for them. But see the leaves? There's nothing there, because again, all the energy is going into producing seed heads. And this is what you want to do. So start trimming them if you want your leaves to turn big again. Keep in mind, it may take a month or so for the plant to stop producing seed and go back into producing leaves again. But eventually it will, and keep it well watered. Don't let it dry out. So give it a good water here and there and continue to trim, and you should be fine. Brassicas are resilient. And if worse comes to worse, you can always do some cuttings at the same time. In other words, propagating some of your brassicas. Now the seed heads on the top don't generally grow that well as cuttings. You can try, once in a while some of them will grow, but those are now producing seeds. It's not thinking about making roots, it's not thinking about making a new plant. What you want to do is get side growth off the plant where it's not producing seeds, and then you trim most of the leaves off, and then you can stick it in soil and grow it. But we can get into that another time. Here what we want to talk about is starting to reduce the flowers on your plant so you have more food for you to eat and to keep the plant to grow for many more years, because after all, brassicas can go for a good 5 years. I had some broccoli plants that were over 5 years old continuously producing me spears. So I hope I gave you some information on how to trim your brassicas so you will be able to get big, beautiful leaves, so you can put that on your dinner plate. You can use it for wraps, or maybe make some chips, or just make some juice, or enjoy the birds on the leaves. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.